Life of Luxury has become one of the internet's most disturbing horror series. A world where every house hides a secret, every hallway has a watcher, and every family's cry for help leads to something far more unnatural than anyone expects. In each episode, Parker and Chester respond to desperate emails from people who believe something is living inside their home. But what they uncover is never human. These creatures twist, stretch, stalk, and feed in ways no normal organism should be able to. In this video, we're going to break down some of the most terrifying entities ever featured on Life of Luxury, analyzing their appearance, behavior, abilities, and whether anyone could realistically survive meeting them face to face. Andy begins as an overweight, middle-aged man, in a simple white shirt and black pants. But everything changes when he transforms into Scratchy the Clown. In this form, he wears loose white clothing, a long greasy wig, and thick white face paint smeared with distorted red lips. His appearance is unsettling not just because of the clown persona, but because of how unnaturally he behaves while wearing it. Moving, dancing, and recording himself like someone lost inside a delusion rather than a costume. Andy's personality sharply deteriorates as the video progresses. Once just a rude, dismissive husband, he becomes erratic, verbally hostile, and unpredictable. He isolates himself, talks to someone who isn't there, disappears at night, and obsessively paints his face. Whatever is happening to him appears to erode his sense of identity entirely, replacing him with the unhinged persona of Scratchy. His fixation on the clown identity becomes so complete that Andy as a person seems to vanish, leaving only the character behind. For Parker and Chester, Scratchy is far more dangerous than a man in makeup. Sarah's footage shows that he is no longer just performing, he is becoming something feral. His late night disappearances, his refusal to engage normally, and the way he fixates on Sarah all escalate into a final disturbing act. At the end of the episode, Andy, or whatever is left of him, kidnaps his wife and drags her into an unknown building. His motives remain unclear, but the transformation suggests something deeply wrong beneath the surface. Something that uses the clown persona as a shell while consuming the man beneath it. Chloe is an 18-year-old victim of one of the most disturbing transformations in the Life of Luxury universe. After her father suffered a mental breakdown, believing he had lost his job as a surgeon and that the family dog had ran away, he spiraled into delusion and became convinced that he needed to turn his family into dogs. Parker and Chester discovered disturbing files on his computer, describing his plan to surgically transform Chloe, revealing a methodical and obsessive mindset behind her condition. When the two enter Chloe's room, she is pale, weakened, and hooked up to an IV. Her initial expression is pure fear, flinching at the sound of the door opening until she recognizes Parker. Next to her is a glass of water filled with visible parasites. She avoids drinking it at first, but the footage later shows her consuming it before violently convulsing and suddenly falling still. Moments later, her father enters with a wheelchair and quietly removes her from the room. It becomes obvious that the parasite-filled water was meant to paralyze her, allowing him to perform whatever twisted procedure he planned in the basement. Her full transformation is revealed later, when Parker and Chester find Chloe in the basement, no longer fully human, but changed into a dog-like creature. Even in this altered state, she still reacts with fear, hiding behind plastic sheets when Parker enters, likely mistaking him for her father. When Chester pleads for her to escape, Chloe suddenly lunges forward. Parker and Chester assume she's attacking, but her behavior seems more confused and hostile. What's worse is that she breaks free from the chain attached to her, something that should have held her, implying that the transformation granted her unnatural strength along with her degraded form. Gale is introduced through an email sent by her 18-year-old sister, Leah, who explains that Gale was in a car accident and later returned home by walking through the woods. From that moment onward, Gale repeatedly wanders back into those same woods every night, behaving more like a puppet being drawn somewhere than a recovering human. Leah's video footage shows Gale stumbling out of the trees and violently charging at her, already displaying an unnatural, hostile change in personality. When Parker and Chester arrive at the house, Gale is withdrawn and unsettling. She is silently standing in the doorway staring at them with a blank expression before retreating to her room. Her behavior oscillates between passive and predatory. Leah and Chester are openly scared of her, while Parker insists that she's simply traumatized. But later that night, Gale reveals her true condition. Chester hears whispering from inside her dark room, confronts her, and is met with frustration for disturbing her. However, the cameras capture what's actually happening. Gale sits alone on her bed, crushing a bug and eating it before retrieving a pair of scissors hidden beneath the mattress. She slowly cuts into the bandages on her face, or possibly straight into her own flesh, exposing a horrific, loose-jawed appearance, as if her face partially collapsed or had been carven open. After rebandaging herself, Gale drifts into Leah's room, hovering over her and chewing on her hair like an animal marking prey. When Leah screams for help, Gale hides behind the door with unnatural awareness, staying completely out of sight as Parker and Chester rush in. Once they leave, she re-emerges and leans over Leah, appearing to drain something vital from her. Leah becomes sedated and limp as Gale mutters an eerie chant in a deep, almost male-sounding voice. Taking her sister's hand, Gale leads her into the woods for one final time, toward a shadowed figure waiting deeper among the trees. Both Gale and Leah vanish into the forest, never to be seen again. Parker Jr. is a malformed genetic hybrid created after Chester accidentally mailed Parker's saliva, mixed with the saliva of Apollo, Parker's dog, to a dark web cloning service. Through advertising as producing exact clones, the result was a twisted fusion of a human and canine DNA. What arrived at their home was a lurching, skin-pale abomination, with Parker's facial structure warped over something that clearly wasn't human. Despite its grotesque appearance, Parker immediately bonded with it, naming it Parker Jr., and insisting it was harmless enough to sleep in a dog crate. Chester, however, sensed immediately that the creature carried a violent, predatory awareness beneath its quiet demeanor. Around Parker, the creature behaves like an affectionate pet, docile, soft-voiced, and needy. But when alone with Chester, Parker Jr. reveals its true nature. It begins speaking in fragmented, unsettling phrases, fixing on Chester's body as if studying prey. It whispers things like, "I want your skin," and "Tonight is the night," demonstrating both understanding and intention. Its movements become more strategic and animalistic, showing a level of intelligence that surpasses either of the DNA sources that it produced. Later that night, Parker Jr.'s hostility escalates dramatically. It slips out of its crate, stalks through the house, and begins breaking into Chester's room, scratching, slamming, and eventually smashing the door open. The creature lunges at him, with clear intent to maul, aiming directly for Chester's face and throat. Chester manages to escape, but Parker Jr. flees the property, disappearing into the night. Its current whereabouts remain unknown, and the dark web website's claim to have more DNA on file leaves a possibility that other hybrids or even improved versions could be made. Petunia initially appears as a quiet, polite middle-aged woman, with a soft voice and a petunia flower tucked behind her ear. When Parker and Chester first meet her, she seems harmless, shy, gentle, and slightly nervous. but throughout the video, her appearance begins to unravel in disturbing ways, revealing that something is deeply wrong beneath her calm exterior. During the night, Chester spies on her through the bathroom door and sees Petunia in an almost unrecognizable state. Her arms appear nearly skin only, as if all muscle has wasted away. Her face takes on an artificial, doll-like stiffness, similar to Margaret's form from earlier episodes, with stretched features and a lifeless expression. Later, when she returns to the living room, she looks closer to her original form, but her mouth hangs unnaturally wide open, as if she can't fully control it anymore. By the end of the video, it's clear that Petunia has done something severe to herself behind the locked bathroom door. Her neck has become elongated and warped, her expression carries a disturbing, sorrowful vacancy. Her voice changes entirely, no longer soft and sweet, but hollow and confused. She asks Chester why they told her to stop scratching herself, likely referring to former partners from her bio. She genuinely doesn't understand what hurt means. It's as if she lost the ability to feel pain altogether, leaving her compulsive scratching and intrusive thoughts unchecked, and escalating into self-destruction. Stanley appears as a tall, disturbingly thin man, with elongated limbs, oversized eyes, and a permanently stretched, happy expression that never seems to match the situation around him. He wears a loose hospital gown that gaps wide open in the back, revealing his protruding spine. His hair hangs long and unkempt, blending him in with many of the unnaturally distorted male antagonists featured throughout the series. Whatever happened to him after his accident has left him visibly altered, physically and mentally. Bailey, an 18-year-old college student, emails Parker and Chester after returning home to find her mother and little sister missing. Her father Stanley is the only remaining family member in the house. He avoids giving answers, acting confused whenever she asks where they are. He isolates himself in his room during the day, but at night, he tries entering Bailey's room, making her so terrified that she locks her door before sleeping. Despite Chester's concern, Parker insists Stanley may be simply traumatized, until the investigation reveals something far worse. Throughout the night, Stanley is seen crawling out from under his bed, groaning, and obsessively watching an old tape found earlier in the house. As the tape continues, he becomes agitated, eventually smashing the TV. He later slips into the hallway, vanishes into a room, and ultimately emerges from Bailey's closet, dragging her inside. When Parker investigates, he discovers Bailey missing, her phone discarded, and Stanley having texted her friends to lure them over. A hidden hole inside the closet suggests he's been moving through the walls. Meanwhile, Chester, believing Bailey returned, is violently attacked by a figure resembling her before Parker intervenes. Realizing the house is no longer safe, both flee, leaving Stanley and Bailey's fate chillingly unresolved. The Blast is a towering, skeletal humanoid with pale skin, long stringy hair draped over its shoulders, and a balding scalp. Its limbs are unnaturally long and taper into thin, needle-like claws. The creature wears almost nothing except a cloth-like material over its groin. Its eyes glow white on camera, and its silhouette strongly resembles other distorted stalker-type beings from the series, especially Taylor's stalker. When seen up close, its elongated fangs and immense size completely dwarfing Chester, making it clear this entity is built for predation. Very little is known about how the Blast normally behaves, because it shows itself only a handful of times. What is known is terrifying. After escaping from a locked suitcase inside Amber's uncle's home, it begins roaming the halls in near silence, moving with inhuman speed and precision. When the helpless girl attempts to warn Parker and Chester, the Blast immediately reacts, tackling her and the camera in a split-second burst of violence. She is never seen again, strongly implying she was killed. Later that same night, the creature slips into Amber's room and locks her inside an empty space until morning, suggesting it prefers isolating or storing victims before acting further. The blast's familiarity with the house suggests it has been confined there for a long time, likely imprisoned either by Amber's uncle or by the helpless girl herself. The creature's ability to navigate the house effortlessly, remain completely undetected, and striking without warning supports its reputation for extreme speed, possibly the origin of its nickname. When Parker and Chester finally rescue Amber, the blast emerges fully, chasing them out of the house with overwhelming size and aggression. Amber later blocks Parker and Chester when they ask about her uncle, leaving the connection between him and the blast unanswered. Whether the creature was bound to him, imprisoned by him, or was her uncle transformed into something monstrous remains unknown. What is clear is that the blast is one of the most dangerous creatures in the series. Silent, fast, territorial, and capable of killing within seconds. Wiggles is a long, rounded, caterpillar-like creature with a light maroon body and countless tiny arms, giving it a centipede-inspired shape. Its face is stark white with black, expressionless eyes, and thin antennae spreading from its head. Despite its toy-like appearance, its mouth is lined with sharp teeth, and it leaves a thick trail of goo wherever it crawls. Wiggles can unhinge its jaw to an unnatural width, allowing it to swallow large prey whole. The creature communicates through low, groaning noises, and displays highly aggressive carnivorous behavior. It constantly demands meat and becomes violently unstable when unfed in Helen's home. Her daughter, Allie, is forced to stay awake each night to feed Wiggles raw chicken and fish. When she finally runs out of food, Wiggle erupts into loud screams, slamming the walls with brute force before consuming Allie whole. The creature shows no hesitation or emotional attachment, only hunger. When Parker and Chester check Allie's room, they find only strands of hair soaked in saliva. Moments later, Wiggles enters Helen's bedroom, devouring her in the same violent manner, its jaws stretched wide open around her body, fully displaying its ability to swallow adult humans. The sight leaves Parker visibly shaken as Wiggles attempts to break through the bedroom door to reach them. Wiggles' final attempt to attack Parker and Chester end in failure, as they manage to escape the house. Its ultimate whereabouts remain unknown, but the creature's intelligence, speed, and near insatiable hunger make it one of the most predatory entities encountered, operating by a simple rule: if it moves, Wiggles will eat it. Dolphin Man is a frantic and unsettling humanoid, first discovered after a girl named Bernice reported strange, animal-like noises echoing through her parents' house. Believing someone or something was hiding inside, Parker and Chester traveled to investigate. What they found lurking in the shadows was a pale figure, with a handmade marine disguise, who immediately screeched and charged at them, forcing them to flee the home. A mental institution located beside the property heavily implies that the Dolphin Man may have escaped from there before taking shelter inside the house. His appearance is crude and disturbing, a grown man coated in white paint, with torn tissue and fabric wrapped around his waist like a makeshift fin. His face is hidden beneath a self-made beak, likely crafted from cardboard or paper, giving him an uncanny marine-inspired silhouette. Despite looking sloppy at first glance, the costume is surprisingly elaborate, suggesting that the Dolphin Man is more intelligent and methodical than he seems. Dolphin Man's abilities include a shrill, dolphin-like screech that he uses both to warn and to terrify. He is also deceptively stealthy, able to slip out of sight, move soundlessly through the dark rooms, and position himself for ambushes without Parker or Chester noticing, until it was too late. After their escape, Dolphin Man's fate remains completely unknown, leaving open the possibility that he is still wandering the neighborhood, or found a new home to hide in. Thanks for watching. These creatures only get more disturbing the deeper we go, and every story leaves more questions than answers. If there's another Life of Luxury monster you want analyzed, let me know below. Until then, stay alert, stay cautious, and remember, you're safe until the lights go out. And until next time, friends.